So it's really great to be here today. We're proud to be a sponsor of this community-led event. Thank to Mike Akshay and the team for building and organizing this great event. So today we're going to talk about search. We're going to talk about search in Sitecore, and we're going to talk about the future. If times permit, would love to have a 5-10 minute question Q&A session afterwards. So I'll start with this slide. I'm proud of this slide. We've been at this for 10 years now. So when we started the company, we were not on those analyst reports. Now we are very well positioned with Gartner, the most visionary vendor in the leaders quadrant, so we're really proud of that. And just as a backup, we also have our friends at Forrester who've put us very well positioned. So Coveo has been at what is called enterprise search for more than 10 years now. We have more than 500 customers all around the world, the likes of Lockheed Martin, Salesforce.com, those very large companies, but also a very large number of SMEs, smaller organizations that decided to invest in Coveo, not because we were the biggest company on the planet, but we were the best, and we're happy to serve these companies. A long time ago, we started discussing with our friend Darren Gornacha and a few others from Sitecore, who was also a smaller, nimbler, and really great company. And we decided to build and invest in Sitecore from a Coveo perspective. So we looked at Sitecore. There was some natural platform compatibility. We liked the people at Sitecore. So we decided to start indexing Sitecore, do a great job with Sitecore, and provide great search with Sitecore. Over the years, we've built quite a nice franchise. So now we have more than 175 joint customers. So customers that are using Sitecore, and they believe that search is highly strategic, search is critical, and why not do business with the best on the market, according at least to Gartner and Forrester. So we're really proud of those 175 joint customers, and it's still growing rapidly. So a few additional numbers and figures before we get into the product. Last year, some of you were at the Sitecore Symposium, I'm sure, remember that we launched a free version of Coveo for Sitecore. We decided that while our product was great, there was too much friction, there was too much complexity for SI partners like most of you and customers to try, test Coveo. So what we did was, let's build a simpler version of what we do. It will not be a trial, it will be a really free version. If you want to go in production with that, you can. Now, some people like to have a support plan when they go into production. We're happy to sell you a support plan. We're happy to sell you additional features. We're happy also to sell you the enterprise version that is more powerful, more complex, more scalable, and more expensive, obviously. So the free version has been a great success. We're going to have more than 1,000 downloads by the end of the year. We now have more than 110 active partners enlisted with Coveo for Sitecore. So thank you. And when we launched this free version, we decided to substantially beef up our developers ecosystem. So we added people in the online documentation. We had more people responding directly on the community for technical questions. So when we look at our developers' assets on our website, So onlinehelp.coveo.com, developers.coveo.com, answers.coveo.com, we've seen an increase of traffic of more than 81% in the past 9 months. So that's great. So we want to thank you, all of you, who are trusting Coveo for their search needs, who are investing in Coveo, who are building things on Coveo, and this is just the beginning as far as I'm concerned. So thank you. We are proud to be a Sitecore Platinum Technology Partner. This has been announced last week, actually. So we are proud to be investing with Sitecore. We see a lot of success ahead of us, and we're excited to invest in this. And this is a quote from Scott Anderson, Chief Marketing Officer from Sitecore, and that was in our press release last week. All right, so let me refresh you very quickly. Once a year, I do those slides. What do we do for Sitecore? So we capture visitor intent, we personalize the experience, we understand user behavior with our usage analytics module, and we empower marketers with better relevance, with better fine-tuning of what we're going to show. So let me show you now how we do that, right? How are we so we are fully integrated in Sitecore. Since version 7, we are way beyond just a smart and advanced connector. So we have all sorts of integration into Sitecore. So for example, we can configure the index and have index information directly from Sitecore. We have widgets that can be drag and dropped into the experience editor. We have information on the license that is directly in Sitecore. So Coveo looks like a Sitecore native component, not a third party that has been added at the end of the day. We put a lot of efforts into relevance at Coveo. Relevance is a fuzzy science, but it's a science nevertheless. So we probably have 20% of our R&D that is dedicated at improving relevance one way or the other. This is just an example of the level of granularity that we have directly inside Sitecore. A little bit later, I will give you some additional information on where we can go. Relevance means for us that you're going to show the results and the content that the users expect to see. How do you do that? It's a complex process. It's a complex science. You need to understand what they want to see before they're formally asking to see it, basically. And there are various ways to do that. Here in this example, we are creating rules to do relevance in a more granular manner. We have rich UI components also that are used to rapidly build great UIs inside Sitecore. So we love to code, but sometimes when we can accelerate things, projects are successful faster. So we have a lot of investment again into the Sitecore UI here. Let me give you some real examples of what we do. So IFT has been with Coveo for about a year. It's a specialized search experience that changes for 18 different visitor sites. So depending on who you are, depending on the context, our friend Darren yesterday said content is king, context is queen. Well, we believe that content and context are king, right? We really believe that context will influence relevance in a way that will change your experience on the website. So with IFT, we have 18 different profiles. We have 10 external websites that we have added to the index So when you're in Sitecore, not only you get great relevance on the Sitecore content, but you also have access to external content that may be websites. In this case, these are websites, but we have additional 50 native connectors. So you bring everything that is relevant, you make it available into Sitecore, and you make it relevant, and you can measure. This is an interesting one. This one is very, very, very cool from a UI perspective. So look at the richness of the result list where you have those barbecues and grills, those grill snippets. But we also have different real estates. So it can be mobile. This is when you go on the Sub-Zero website, you will start by searching on the right panel, basically. And in the right panel, in the result list, we have images of the products that are appearing automatically in a very elegant fashion. So this is done in a, I would say, in a very deliberate way with the Coveo technology. This one is advisory board. So look at the facets to the left. So there are real counts on the facets at the bottom and all of that. But then this one is pretty cool. We do expertise finding. So not only we index pages and we index external content, we will index all sorts of objects and all sorts of records. In this case, these are people, and we have ways to apply relevance on that. So when you're a consultancy group, sometimes what you want to show are not reports, but people, right? Who are your experts? Who are the folks that you're going to basically sell to your customers? So we do that for a living on very large organizations internally. The likes of big R&D companies like Bose or even Lockheed Martin, they rely on us to find who's the best to address this kind of specific internal problem. And typically people, what they will do is they will search on the profile of people, right? They will do what we call explicit expertise finding. So who brags about what in the organization, I'll find it and I'll show it to you. Chances are that people are really competent will not yell about their competence. People know about their competence implicitly. How can a search engine find that? It needs to look around all of the content that those folks have contributed, have written, all of the communications that those folks have contributed, and then let's surface that through search. So we have done some form of that with advisory board. This one is a very cool insurance company. So they sell specialty insurances, and in this example, we are indexing, I think, about a dozen of non-Sitecore sources. And we're indexing those sources, and we are making it available directly into the Sitecore UI with all of the Sitecore experience. We have rich search as you type in this example. We have all of the great facets and all of the great results from Coveo. And this is the last one I want to show you. ACC, American College of Cardiology. So where are the search results? Everything on this page is a search result. Everything on this page has been generated by Coveo. So we don't have to show a title, a result, and an excerpt with a hyperlink. In this case, depending on who you are, where you are, what you do, what have you searched before, and so on, pages will be rendered using Coveo, highlighting results that are relevant to you, but we don't have to show that as a classic Google result list, which is cool. So when you go on this website, You can navigate, and you have probably, what, 30 different sections, like cardiology when you're playing football and things like that. And you click and you select those sections, and Coveo will bring you the best results depending on who you are, where you are, and what's the context. All right. So what do we do today? We have 3 versions of Coveo for Sitecore. We have the free version. No tricks, no gimmicks. It's a free version. It's on-premise. You go on our website, and you can get it pretty quickly. If you want a support plan, if you want to deploy usage analytics to capture all of your interactions with search, to understand your search journeys, to have a feedback loop into your relevance, this is a cloud. Usage analytics runs in a cloud. So you will need a pro version for that. And then there's the enterprise version that has all of the bells and whistles of the quote-unquote big Coveo, with all of the connectivity to all of the systems, the advanced security, and it's more complex. The free version is important to us because you, the partners, want, when you decide to invest in a new technology, you don't want to have a phone call 25 days after from a sales rep asking you, when are you going to buy? We are not in that business. The free version is for you to try, to play with, to give us your feedback on the community, to tell us where we need to improve, to tell us what you like, to tell us what you need. And we believe that if we do a good job, at one point, when you go live, people will need a support plan. And the model is working great. All right. So enough about what we do today. Let's talk about the future. Where do we invest? So at Coveo, we are 200 people. About 100 of that is in R&D. Product management, R&D, QA, and all of that. So we have decent-sized R&D team to do what we do. I like to say we have a lot of search firepower. So, and because we're based in Quebec City, Canada, there's not a lot to do outside of coding. So a high level of productivity. All right, so let's talk about the near future. Coveo for Sitecore is great for Coveo. Coveo for Sitecore is an amazing franchise. But the other side, the non-Sitecore part of the business, is growing even faster. Actually, the other side of the business is booming. And it's booming for one main reason, is because of the cloud. We have, 3 years ago, decided to build a real native cloud platform for indexing. It's not hosting, it's not managed services, which is all good. We have decided to build a native SaaS product. Our first success has been Coveo for Salesforce. So those of you who are familiar with Salesforce, it's a pretty big ecosystem. We have a lot of success right now doing what we do with Sitecore, basically improving search experience for those who really care about it. We're doing that for Salesforce. And because of the cloud, this is booming. So for us, the cloud, what it means, right? For us. For us, the cloud means that your index will be way more reliable. You don't need to manage servers anymore. It's secure. It is way more secure than on-prem. We like to listen to our friends at Amazon Web Services, who are the provider of a lot of the cloud out there, just like Azure. And they like to brag about their customers, just like I'm doing. But their customers are the CIA, the NSA, and these guys are these kind of guys. So when they are being asked about the level of security, well, we build features for the CIA and then we make it available to the rest of the world, right? So the cloud is secure, very secure for us. The cloud is elastic. Search, performance, and latency is key. And we all know that provisioning servers from the start, not really knowing what kind of volume we'll have, is sometimes a challenge. And sometimes, because you have not provisioned enough servers during peak time, queries of 2-3 seconds may occur, which is not good, right? So the cloud is elastic. When you need more horsepower, it will scale up. When you need less horsepower, it will scale down. And big deal, the cloud is simple. The cloud is way more simple. You don't need to deal with 20 different versions of APIs. You don't need to look at upgrading different servers. You don't need to have all of that. For us, the cloud is super simple. So because of that, it has really unlocked innovation for us. Because of the cloud, we can do things that we would never do on-prem, that we could not afford doing on-prem. Things that are too expensive to do on-prem, that do not make sense. And I'll show you a few of those. So these are a few screenshots of our cloud platform. On the top left, this is how you add content to the index. You don't have to build connectors, you don't have to code connectors, you don't have to install connectors. You go into your admin tool, you click on the source, you enter your username, password, and it will start indexing in a few seconds. Then you can play with Relevance with all sorts of editors. So at the top, the one that is hidden is a more graphical way to promote, demote results, boost results, depending on different audiences and things like that. And at the bottom is for those who really want to have more control. There's a very advanced query language that allows you to be more granular and to be more precise. What the cloud also provides is the ability to capture everything into our usage analytics platform. It's not a competitor to the XDB. We're not competing with Google Analytics. We're just providing a lot of granularity into the search journey. To do what? If we capture everything, if we capture all of the queries, if we capture all of the clicks, all of the page views, all of the facet clicks, all of the query corrections, all of the movements in the pages, if we capture all of that, then with the volume, very quickly, we can suggest, oh, this document should appear higher in the list, right? The average click rank is 6 or 7. Why is that? So let's boost it. For whatever reason, does not appear where it should be. And nobody is clicking on those first results. Why is that? And this is a continuous improvement process that scales to millions and millions and millions of events per week. That's what we have in some of our very large customers. So with that, and this is all available through APIs, by the way, and this data can be integrated into third-party analytics tools too. But on top of that, we have a UI with dashboards and everything that very quickly allows us to understand what are people doing really. And then let's adjust almost in real time relevance and content so we have better outcomes, as our friend Darren would say, right? So let me give you a few examples of better outcomes. Who's familiar with Vmware? All right, about 30% of the room. So we are more, Coveo is more, people are more familiar with Coveo than VMware in this room, which is good. Pretty cool. All right. VMware is one of our large customers. We're powering their partner portal. So they have hundreds of thousands of partners around the world. These partners want to find the right information in the partner portal, obviously. So here are the metrics that we're tracking. In 4 months, we have been live for 4 months. We've been replacing something else that was open source. So we've been live for 4 months. The click-through rate has increased by 65%. That's huge. It means that queries where there's a click have increased by 65%. Queries with no clicks, this is really bad. Doesn't mean that the clicks are always good. It means that no click is always bad. Search relevance has increased by 26%. So we have fancy ways to measure relevance for them. That includes average click rank and click-through and all of that. And number of clicks have increased also by 21%. So in 4 months, they have not increased by 21% their number of active partners, right? So we must be doing something right here. Another great example, Salesforce.com. So these guys are a customer and a partner to us. So they have decided to put Coveo on their help and training portal, where they have millions and millions and millions of queries every week. So they've put Coveo in there. And in the past 12 months, so 30% more content viewed, 20% more users on the search side, 2 points of average click rank. So if your average click rank is 5, we've increased it to 3, which is a big deal in terms of relevance. And how, so all of that is great, but it's a little bit geeky. So what is the outcome, as Darren would say? The outcome for their portal is case deflection. How many people come to their website and they're about to create a formal case or an issue. How many of those people can we deflect, where basically we provide them the right information before they call home? It's more than 20% now. And when you look at the curve in the graphic at the bottom, when we got there, they were deflecting maybe 3–4%. Now we're deflecting over 20%. So talk about an outcome with a real ROI here. These folks, they are really nice to us. They gave us a very nice slot at the Dreamforce conference, and they explained themselves the kind of results that we are having on their website. So we look at that and say, there's some sort of overlap with what we do with Sitecore, right? There are users that are coming on a website and we want them to have more successful outcome. It can be buy more products, download more assets, engage with a company. It can be not open a case, self-service case management. So this is what we do for these guys. Now, one of the additional great innovation that we're going to launch in the coming weeks is what we call machine learning relevance. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal because what I'm going to show you, it's not launched yet, but we have 3 big customers that are running in production with it. They love the pilot so much that they said, well, let's turn the switch on right away. So machine learning relevance means that all of the data that we capture in usage analytics, all of this data is as important as the content in the index to match queries. It means that we can find content and documents even if they don't fit the query, right? Let me give you an example with one of our clients. So This is Logitech. They are designing and building all sorts of devices, right? Webcams, mouse, keyboards, and they're churning a lot of those devices over time. So that's why they have a crazy number of items on their website. So when you search with a classic search engine on Logitech, it will match the query with the content. If it doesn't match, you need to create a thesaurus entry. You need to add more data, more metadata to the content. So that's a classic search problem, right? So in this example here, I'm on their website. I want to locate information about the MX5500 product. And when I search, I have no results. I have no results, but on the product side, but I seem to have a lot of knowledge base items on it. That's weird, isn't it? But that's a classic search problem. And to fix that, typically, you need to invest again in thesaurus, metadata, and all of that. When you have thousands and thousands of products that may have a lifetime of 3 months, then you can't do that. It doesn't scale. So here's what we do. We call that self-learning relevance. The same query with self-learning relevance will get us this keyboard. So we matched MX5500 to MX trademark space 5500. How did we do that? Well, one way to do that is, okay, so I'll create a thesaurus rule that will split all of my product names in two and add trademarks here and there. Again, pretty manual process. That's a very expensive process. What we do here is we have crunched all of the data from usage analytics in real time, and we know that there's enough search journeys that are starting with MX5500, but that are corrected with a last click on this product for it to be matching. So with a high level of confidence, very quickly by constantly analyzing the click stream and the user data, we can provide these insights. And when we do that, obviously, the outcome is likely to be a lot better. Let me show you another flavor of this machine learning. So auto-suggest, query as you type, search as you type, query completion. Again, this is another area where people put a lot of efforts. This is another area that if you want to do a great job, you need to invest a lot. What we do here is leveraging our machine learning index so it corrects automatically the query as we type it. It corrects it because it knows that some people have created some typos before and corrected the query this way. And because you're dealing with hundreds of thousands or millions of queries, you have enough confidence very quickly to make that decision. This is an example where I'm looking for Outlook integration, and look at the typo. This is not a typo that you can fix with classic algorithms, with edit distance or with soundex or all of those things, right? So someone typed Outlook integration, and automatically the system will show you what people have done before. Now, what is even better is it can't really go wrong, because if there's not enough volume, if people did not vote enough with their clicks on a solution, it will not appear, right? So that's the magic of machine learning. And the other thing that is quite interesting here is because of machine learning, we also have the ability to build automatically different models with different time spans. So the answer today, based on a 6 months experience, may be quite different than the answer today with a week experience, right? So that's why in the screenshot we're showing what are the recommendations based on, let's say, 6 months of clicks. And on the right side, what are the best answers to my query based on last week. That's quite cool. And you can't do that. I mean, you can't build enough horsepower on-prem to build that kind of stuff in a way that makes sense economically. And we're adding those widgets. I mean, we're trying all sorts of things like completing directly in the search box, like this one here. It's all the same. This works in multiple languages. This scales to millions and millions and millions and millions of queries. And we are really excited to launch that in a few weeks from now. So the question is, how do we bring this to the Sitecore ecosystem, right? Because all of this great stuff applies to Sitecore. And we want to make this available to you, the partners, and to our customers. So most of our Sitecore implementations today work this way. It's on-premise. We have at the top integration with the Sitecore UI. And the bottom red box, we have integration with the Sitecore search provider that sends us everything that needs to be indexed and with permissions and everything else, right? And when we want to add more content to the index, we have connectors that are running also on-prem. Now, this works well, but of course you need to manage an index typically besides your Sitecore implementation. Usage analytics is in the cloud, and we're happy to see more and more customers leveraging our usage analytics in the cloud, but it could get even better. So this is where we're going. We are building a Sitecore search provider that will synchronize automatically with either a Coveo index that is on-premise or in the cloud. It will have the ability to automatically configure a new Coveo index in the cloud in less than a minute. So you're using the Coveo free version on-prem. Very quickly, you could transfer that into the cloud in a matter of minutes. What happens once you're in the cloud? You have all of the great bells and whistles that I demonstrated earlier. You have this reliability, you have the scalability, the elasticity, you have security when it's required, and you have the simplicity, and then you have those great features, right? Machine learning relevance, usage analytics, the full scale, and a lot of metrics to understand what's going on, right? So this is what's coming. This is what we're investing in. We are not going to change the free version. Free version still is available, still is on-premise. There will be consistency between on-prem and cloud. So the UIs that are built on-prem are going to work on cloud, obviously, and it will be a choice. It will be a choice when it makes sense, when you're in front of projects that would require these kinds of features that I just showed, then you should look at Coveo and you should consider the cloud. So the next question is when? We're quite advanced with this. We're quite advanced. We need to launch the machine learning relevance. It will have a fancy name when we launch it. And then we're pretty confident by the end of the year we'll be ready to enter in beta with select partners. So those of you who want to try that, who want to play with that, who want to see would it make sense with my projects, with my users, come see us at the booth and we'll have a conversation if it makes sense or not. But it feels that it makes a lot of sense in Sitecore ecosystem, quite frankly. So we'll have a Q&A session, I think. We have time for a Q&A session. Marie and Michelle will have a mic. So those who want to ask questions, Marie and Michelle will go see you. We have a strong delegation. We have 2.5% of the staff, the entire company here today. So we have a booth up there with our two friends that are waiting there. They're raising their hands, so they're just waiting to answer any questions that you may have, and we're happy to answer questions from the audience right now.
Any questions, folks? Sure. Always needs a first person, right? There you go.
The machine learning that you talked about, is that based solely on your domain, or is that everything for all of the customers that Coveo is hosting as part of that cloud offering?
So that's a great question. So the initial version of it will be from our usage analytics database. The usage analytics database, however, can capture more than just Coveo searches. Okay? So that's the primary source. The way it is architectured, it is very, very, very likely to include additional sources. It could be a Sitecore XDB down the road, right? It could be something else. So all of this data that do make sense to improve the relevance automatically, we have the architecture ready to ingest all of this data down the road if needed.
Hi. Do you have a kind of pricing model for the cloud search at this point?
For the cloud search, you said? Yeah, the pricing model, those are some of the things that we're refining, but it will be a subscription-based pricing. It will be aggressive, and it will be somewhat aligned to consumption. Those are the principles that we want to deal with.
Hi. For customers that are currently on Sitecore 7.1 or 7.2, if they want to go to the cloud with Coveo, do they need to upgrade to Sitecore 8?
So the question was for those customers of 7.1 or 7.2, what's the process to move them to the cloud, you said? Yeah. So that's part. The beta program will help us refine if our tools that we have envisioned to do that will be okay. There's an assumption that it should be very easy to do that, because a lot of Coveo for Sitecore will still run, I mean, all of the UIs, the search provider connection, this will still run on-prem with Sitecore, right? So what really needs to be changed is the index and the other bells and whistles that are extra on it. So our view, it should be pretty simple, but we are in software, so we know that sometimes we may be too optimistic. So that's why we have a better program.
Any other questions for Laurent?
All right, folks, so there's the last one? Okay.
So is this a cloud infrastructure that you guys are going to be running in Azure? I guess with any kind of cloud infrastructure like this, latency is always a concern, and I think obviously a lot of Sitecore customers are also moving to Azure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's a great question about latency, about architecture. So we're not going to run on Azure, and we've decided to be more generic, to invest. Basically, it's not a secret. We've built everything on AWS, so Amazon Web Services. And what is interesting is with AWS, we can serve the need of Salesforce, and we can serve the need of Sitecore customers at the same time, right? Which is quite interesting. So from a latency challenge and everything else, We are, based on the data I showed you before, with Logitech, with VMware, with Salesforce, and with probably 50 others. I mean, we're quite confident about our ability to deliver performance in the cloud, understanding that Salesforce is a pretty big cloud provider, and they're not running on Azure nor Amazon, right? They have their own machine, so.
Great. I think we're done.
All right, folks. So our booth is there. If you want to win the Sonos device, it's your last chance. And if you have any other questions, we'll be around. So thank you for your time, and see you soon.